Hello, welcome everybody. Hello everyone, myself Sarika Devkar. We'll starting our session soon in a while. Let me share my screen. Okay, so let's begin. Hello everybody, myself Sarika Devkar. Today we are starting with our Forge series episode 2, deep dive into Forge. So in today's agenda, we have a lot of things to cover to talk about it. I have invited a speaker, Jeevan Karnati, with us. Let me add Jeevan.
Yeah. Hi, Sarika. Hi, everyone.
Right. Jeevan is a Atlassian marketplace app developer who have a solid experience right now. I can see with the Forge, and he's going to share his knowledge with us today. So, Jeevan, can you give us your quick introduction?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Jeevan Karnati, and I work with Trundle, and I'm in their Force division as well. I developed many apps with them. So, yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Jeevan. So I think this is a episode 2. So I wanted to give a quick highlight about our episode 1 series. So in episode 1, we have talked about what is Forge, where we have in detail, specifically, we have talked about what is Forge and what other Atlassian app development platform is available and why we need Forge, right? And Forge setup, how to set up a Forge and how to manage the Forge app. So this is the key thing that we have highlighted in our episode 1. If you have not watched our episode 1, you can go to our YouTube channel and you can see episode 1, all the details there. Let us know if you have any issues. Let's suppose if you are facing any problem in setting up, let us know that as well. So when we have talked about episode 1, in that we have mentioned some prerequisite for episode 2. So what we need actually for today's session. So for today we need we should have we should make sure our Node.js and Forge environment are set up. Then we have a code editor, whatever that you wanted to use. Then it will be good if you can create an account on the developer console to get it started, because today we are going to pick the episode 2 from here. uh, Now let's talk what we are covering in episode 2 agenda. So in episode 2, we are covering Forge login, how to log in with the Forge from the CLI commands. Forge app creation with the UI kit category. So whenever we create a Forge app, right, we have multiple category. So today we are starting with the UI kit category. In our next session, we'll try to cover other categories as well. Then we'll talk about Forge UI kit architecture, because I think this is the most interesting topic that everyone is asking to understand architecture of the Forge. Then we'll talk about the app environment and how to deploy app in specific environment and how to install the apps in Jira, right? So that is the highlights for our episode 2. So I think Jeevan, you can share your screen and
Yeah.
you can begin. I have
Yeah.
stopped
I'm
my
sharing my
sharing.
screen.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, so first we'll start with Forge. So we have to do the login first. Login is important in Forge to maintain our apps, all our installed apps and deployed apps. So we have to use the Forge command. So I hope you set up that Forge Cleese Sarika told you in episode 1. That is important for us. So let's start with Forge. So we will use Forge login and click enter. And you have to enter your email here, whatever it may. So I'll enter my email and enter again. So next here we have to enter our token here, API token. So by this token, you can manage your apps and everything. So you have to enter this token. So you can get this token from this URL, id@atlassian.com manage API tokens. So I'm opening this URL here. So if you can see here, we have the create API token. So you can give it some name and create some token, and you can save it somewhere. And I already have created one token, so I won't do it again. So it's fine. So next you have to enter the token here, and then it will log in with your name. Like it will say logged in as my name is Jivan Kannati, so it will say logged in as Jivan Kannati. And also you have to make sure that your login account is same as your email here. So this is my email, right? I have logged in with this email. So you have to use the same email here as well. You should not use different emails, then it will get cancelled. So I have to use the same email. And so I'll just cancel this. You can just, when you're going through this, you have to enter the API token. I already entered the API token, so I'll just cancel this. So these are you can log in via Forge, and from developer console, you can manage all your apps by using this email ID as login. And yeah. So next we'll create Forge templates. So for creating the Forge templates or Forge app skeleton, you can say we have to use something called some different command. Uh, Something called Forge create. Yeah. So here first you have to enter your name. You can use anything on your name, even dashes or anything. You can see that. So I'll just use something called get set code. So where you're going for UI kit, right? So I'll just enter UI kit. Yeah. So if you see here, there are multiple categories. There is Rovo agent and action, UI kit, custom UI, triggers and validators. So we'll go through all this one by one in after few sessions, but let's focus on the UI kit today. So we'll go through a UI kit. And if you see here, we have multiple products here as well. So we can install in a different product. So that's why there are multiple products. We can install in Bitbucket, we can install in Compass, Confluence, Jira, JSM. So today we'll choose Jira as an example. So click enter. And if you see in Jira, there are multiple things here as well. There are admin page, like in our admin section, and there is backlog action board, custom field, dashboard gadget, global page, issue action, issue glance. There are so many things like this. Like it's similar to Atlassian Connect Express. So today we will choose global page, which is the main page here. So I'll click enter. Don't worry about this. You can still add your own pages after creating as well. This just for creating the template. We will choose any one of them. In the future, you can still edit all those things. So it's downloaded the template and it restart the app. Restarting the app is important because it will create a separate ID for your app in a developer console. So based on that ID, your app will get created and it will get restarted in developer console. And you'll create environments as well. We'll go through the environments on this step. And it will install the dependencies because we're using Node, right? So it will install all the dependencies based on our package.json. Yeah, let's wait for the installation. It will take some time. Sometimes it gets stuck as well, so don't worry about that. It will take some more time.
Jeevan, meantime, it is getting registered and setting up the things. Can we talk about the modules? Because I think few of them here, they don't know what is exactly the modules we are saying, right? Let it get
Okay.
set up.
Yeah. So we have multiple different modules here. Uh, so let's go through the Forge modules. You can just type in our Forge modules or something like that, and you can open this thing, Forge modules. Here, if you see, we have different modules here. think it's not this one. Yeah, here. If you see this, here we have Bitbucket modules, common modules, Compass modules, Confluence modules, Jira, JSM, Rovo, all these things are here. And we want Jira modules, right? So here, if you see, same list we got here as well. Admin page, custom field, global page. And for example, if I open global page, it will show here where it will come. So if you see, it's in the main page. So it's in the more section. So if, for example, if I open my main, minute. So if you see here app section, here we have this multiple sections, right? Product waterfall for Jira like this. You'll get it here, global page. So you can open it to if you click on it, it will go to a separate page that will call global page. So like that, there are multiple pages here. Admin page will be in the admin side in our admin section here. Like that, there are different modules here. Let's see if it's completed. Yeah. So you can go through this. You can go through all of this. So you can see there are multiple modules for each thing. We can create custom fields, our own custom fields as well, which are linked to our app, and we can give permissions and everything here. So yeah. Okay, let's go to here. Now we created our app and it restarted as well, and we can work on it now. So let's go into this folder now. So let's cd get set code UI kit. Okay. So now let's open this folder in any of the code editor. So I use VS Code. You can choose any of your wish. It's your wish. So I'm opening it in VS Code. Yeah. Okay. Let's see the main points here. So if you see, this is a Node app, right? So we will have package.json. This is compulsory. And if you see in here, we have 4 modules here in the dependencies. We have Forge Bridge, we have Forge React, we have Forge Resolver, and React. So basically in Forge, we use React. Mostly we use React in UIKit. In UIKit, I think only React is available in UIKit. So we'll use React only. And we have manifest.yml, which is similar to Atlassian. If you have developed in Atlassian Connect Express, you can see Atlassian Connect.json. So it's similar to that. It's mostly same. So if you see here, ID is there. Right? This is our app ID. There is no app key here, like in Atlassian Connect JSON. There is app ID, which is this. So you have to make sure this app ID stays same. If you change this app ID, it will go to a different app or it will just crash. So this app ID should be same every time. Yeah. And let me open source here. And let me go through this one by one file, just for non-developers as well, if you are here. So git ignore is normal. Like when you push it to any GitHub or and Bitbucket, you can just ignore these modules, which we don't need, like node modules and all. And ESLint is for enforcing the rules on React and on Node. So you will be error free when you're building the code on when you're deploying it. So you can pre-see the errors. So you can write the better code. That's why I use ESLint as well. And they're giving it pre-built here, pre-installed ESLint and ESLint plugin React hooks. So we'll stay within React rules. So that's why we use these plugins here. And node modules are basically when we install any package.json using npm i command or something, we will get the node modules. So it will have all the node modules here. Like if you see, there is Forge as well, and there is React, and there are so many of those here. Yeah. Next is source. These are important file here. We have resolvers. We have front end. Front end means you can just it's obvious, right? It's a front end UI side. Resolvers means you can say it as a backend. It's a backend completely. You can just say it as a backend. And let's go to manifest.yml as well. If you see here, there is source. If you see resources. So basically in manifest.yml, we'll call our front end resources. We'll call our backend resolvers. I'm just saying in simple terms, so you'll understand. So these are front end, these are back end. So here, if you see, key is main. So basically, we will assign it a key, and path is source frontend index.jsx. JSX is for JSX is a file type for React, so we'll use JSX for frontend. So if you see, we are using this path for frontend. We are giving it a key main, and we are using global page, right? So for that, we are using resource main. Like that, you can give multiple resources here, and when you are having something, for example, you will have one more module here as well, like admin page in future when you're developing app. So you'll create one more resource here, and you'll add that resource key to that admin page. Like that, we have set up here. And resolver, function is resolver. If you see function here, function is our backend, resolver and function is similar. So here we have handler index.handler. So where is this index.handler is coming from? It's coming from here, our index.js in the source. These are our main index.js. So it's exporting handler. It's exporting handler from resolvers. So if you go into resolvers, there is one more index.js and here. So we are this complete backend. I'll explain it to you afterwards. So these are we are pulling the resolver from force resolver, and we are defining it some text, and we are returning some text, and at last we are exporting our handler. So we are exposing this resolver to our manifest.yml, so you can access the backend. So that's why it's index.handler. So we are exposing the handler here. So we are using index.handler. For example, if you don't use these commands here, it won't work. So I have to use this commands. Or you can say, for example, if you use something different name here, we are importing it and export const something different name like get set code equals to handler. If you use like this, we are exporting this get set code, right? So you shouldn't use handler now. You have to use get set code, whatever this is. So what we are exporting it here, you have to use that name here. So it won't work now if you use handler. You have to use this get set code, index.get set code. Then only it will work, this function. So like this, you can export it, whatever, any number of resolvers you have, you can export it like this. So we'll just go back now. And we'll just go back here as well. And if you see in resolver, we are calling this function, and key is resolver. I mean, you can give any key. We are just, this is a standard for Forge, so that using this, but you can give anything here key. Since we are using global page, we'll give global page, like global page resolver, something like this, global page resolver. So I'll change the key here as well to global page resolver. And we can even send the resource as well. We can call resource as global page resource, something like that. Resource. Yeah, it's nice now. We have to segregate it. If you segregate it like this, it will be useful as well when you're doing any changes in the code or something like that. This is fine. For example, here we have index.js, right? If you rename this file to something else, you have to rename it here as well. Index, if it's something called its global page, then you have to use global page.handler like that for this handler. Yeah. Okay. Now we'll go to this front end here. Okay. So basically, first we'll import React use effect use state. These are basic standards of React, basic things of React. Next, we'll import from Forge React. So there is additional package called Forge React in UIKit. If you see, we are using UIKit here. So the problem with UIKit, one problem with UIKit is we cannot use any HTML tags. Like we cannot use div tag or span tag here. We can only use whatever they gave us here. Like for example, if I click control space, we have some extra things here. Badge, bar chart. If you notice, we have Atlas Kit components, right? Same components are available here, all of them. Every component is available here. And we can only use these components. We cannot use any custom components. We cannot even use scripts, any additional scripts for us, like JavaScript scripts, or we cannot use div span, we cannot use CSS. That is one major drawback of UIKit. So, in my opinion, if you are going for a simple basic structure app, you can use this, and it's very secure as well. Like it will provide proper UI with Atlassian. So it's best if you use this for simple apps, like without any need for your custom designs or something like that. So you can use this for that. So yeah, and Forge reconciler. So basically, if you remember React, we have React DOM. So which is a virtual DOM basically. So we won't go into the React now. That's a very big topic again. So we'll go with Forge reconciler. It's basically a customized version of React DOM. So we can render it, and when you render it, basically if you don't use Forge reconciler, we will use React DOM.render in React. So here we are using Forge reconcile.render to render it in Forge. So it's basically customized version of a React DOM. So here we are using React strict mode. React strict mode is for catching any advanced like different errors. Like, and if you use, for example, in React there are some deprecated functions. If you use them, it will give error. It will give a warning. Strict mode. That's why we use strict mode. Like that, there are so many options in strict mode. It's
Even one
basically
quick.
only in development. If you use in production, this won't affect anything. And next we have use state, use effect.
So
Use
sorry to
state we are
interrupt.
just setting.
Sorry to interrupt,
Yeah,
Jeevan here. Can we
yeah.
talk about what exactly the render we are saying? Render, it means when the front end app will get load, right? For that rendering
Yeah.
we are discussing, or anything else. So
Yeah,
when
for
you are
that
talking
rendering
about,
only.
right, that one only, right? When
Yeah.
just wanted to ask one more question. What is the use if we are using this render and not the DOM one? What you are saying? Is there any architecture change, or it will help in loading fast?
No, actually, if we use React DOM, we won't know where to render, right? This Forge
Okay,
reconciler will take options from manifest.yml and it will render in the global page. But if
okay.
you
So
use
the
the React
render.
DOM, it won't render anywhere. It won't
Okay,
work
so
if you
from
use
here we
React
are
DOM.
redirecting on which page it have to render, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, everything
Okay,
it will take care of it. Yeah.
perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next is the use effect. Use effect is a lifecycle hook. So next, invoke. So Forge bridge. This is the main one, Forge bridge. By using this invoke method in the Forge bridge, we'll contact the backend. So this invoke is basically your front end, what you call like you can call APIs from backend using this invoke. So like let's say Axios or Fetch, something like that you can say. So you have your text here. You can enter this text, and this is the payload. This is called payload. This is invocation. If you see here, function key and payload. Function key is to identify which function we are targeting in the backend, which API we are targeting. And payload is what we have to send. For example, you are creating something in the front end. You have to send to backend, right, to create that. So that's why we use this payload to send what we are creating. For example, you are creating some form. You have name, age, all those things. So you have to send that information to backend, right? So that at the time you will use payload here. So this is for identification. Get text is for identification. This is for payload for sending any of our create, post, or put request to backend. And here we are using our normal promises. We are not using async await. We can use async await as well. That's not a problem. Just we are using this. So this may get confused some people. So I'll just do it in a different way. Response. So basically this set data response. So we are setting, when after we invoke it, we'll get the response, and we are setting that response to data here. And let me just comment it out. So here we are just doing the if data is null, it will keep say loading. If data is not null, it will show the data. So if we invoke it here, get text, it will go to the backend in our resolvers. Here we gave our resolver, right? Resolver function global page.resolver. Here we give index.handler. So it will go into index.handler, and it will go into resolvers here. So it will go into another index.js here in resolvers. So if you see here, we defined something called get text. So we are, if you see, we are using same thing called get text here as well. So it will come here. And yeah, we have request, right? Our payload will be available in request here. Not just payload, everything will be available in request, like a project ID or issue ID. If you're in project page, project ID will be available, and project key will be available here. And if you're in issue page or issue glance, something like that, issue ID will be available for you. All these things will be available for you in here. For example, if you want to access project ID, let's say, you can access like this. project ID equals to request dot context dot, there will be something called extension, I think, extension dot project dot id, something like this. You can access the project id, but now it won't be available because we are using global page, right? In global page we don't have any project there, so project id won't be available. We won't use this. I'm just taking it as example now. And if you want to get payload, const payload equals to request dot payload. So we'll get our payload in here. So if you see, we have example is to my invoke variable, right? So we'll get example here. So dot example. So if I console log payload here, for example, if I console log payload, when I run the code, the payload will be same as this, my invoke variable, same as this string. So you can just use this and to create or anything, to create or put update anything. And next we have hello world. We are returning the hello world here. So when you're returning something, it will say hello world here. Yeah, this is the basic
So
architecture of the app.
one quick
Yes,
question,
ma'am.
Jivan, on that particular page. Can you go back to that
Yeah,
method in the index.js,
yeah,
the backend one?
yeah.
Wanted to know how can we see what exactly is coming in the request, because you as a developer know, right? In the request the payload is there, from that payload is there, extension is there, like as in the request what exactly we have, like what other data we have, where we can see that, how we can see that
What
in the
exactly that?
request, can we
Okay.
uh,
Yeah,
uh, right, because as a developer we knows, right, key in the request we in
yeah,
from the
yeah.
payload we can get this, so can we print this
Yes.
request directly in the console and we can see that, or
Yeah, yeah. We can print that request as well.
okay,
Complete request. You can just
okay,
print complete request as well.
and from the
Yeah,
object we can get to know key inside that payload is there,
yeah,
in that example is there, in
yeah,
the
yeah.
extension project
In
detail is
yeah,
there. Okay,
yes, yeah.
okay,
We can just
yeah,
console log entire request and we will get all the things as well in there.
all the
We can
things
see
in
what
there.
is there. Yeah, we'll get environment ID. We'll get the what in which instance we are. For example, if I am in G1 Kannati 1999.net, it will show that as well in which instance we are, and our environment ID and our app ID, everything it will show. We have everything here itself. Yeah. Okay. Basically,
uh,
in our Atlassian Connect Express, we'll use AP, right? AP to get the project information or
yeah,
issue
yeah.
information. But here we'll get it from the request itself.
Okay. One more question here, Jeevan. Let's suppose here we are using a import statement and export statement, right? For the import
Yeah.
statement, the API that you are using, the dependencies, do we need to install it separately, or by default it will come with the package? Because with the package, I think the default one will get added in the package JSON, right? For new one, do we need to do a separate installation like what we used to do it in Atlassian SDK? Uh,
We don't have to do
if
separate installation. For some things we have to do, but basically whatever you need, it's provided by a Forge
For
resolver
basic
and Forge
skeleton,
bridge.
we have everything ready, right?
Yeah, for
We
basic
don't
certain
need
we have
anything
everything
else.
ready. Yeah.
Okay.
But if you want to access, for example, Jira APIs or Jira REST
Mhm.
APIs or Confluence REST APIs, you have to install one more module, something called
Okay.
Forge/API. So let me install
Okay.
that as well.
Okay.
So we'll install
It will be good if you can
npmi.
teach us how to install the APIs, right? So it
Yeah,
will be good for our
yeah.
audience.
So npmi Forge API. So we install this as well.
NPMI and the what we need to install, right?
Forge API at the rate of
Yeah.
Forge/API. Yeah. So here, for example, you want to access something, some REST API like project or project ID. Using project ID, you have to access. You want to access some project details. So you can access using something called API. So you can import API from Forge API. You see, it's available here. We are already installed. Forge API is available here, 4.1.2 version. And we need to import API from here, and we can access through API dot. I think it's still loading.
Okay, no worries. Meantime, it is getting load. Another want to hit another question to you, Jeevan here. I think it
Yeah,
will need some time in loading. Can you
yeah,
go
yeah.
back to the front end file once?
Which one?
Front end file index.js.
Okay, index.js. Yeah.
Here, I think we can give more detail about use effect method and use state methods, right? Because sometimes it confuse, right? What is the use of use effect and use state?
Use of okay. Let
Yeah, the
me tell you in
state.
React terms. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Let's present some more examples here.
some more. Okay, okay. So basically, use state is use. Basically, in React, we call this as states. Whatever data is we call it as states. We cannot use. For example, if you use like const data something called to data 2 equals to hello one, like you can just say hello, and if you print it here, for example, with text, this will come. If you print data 2, it will come. But if you want to update it here,
Okay.
uh, for
If we
example,
have to
you are updating
dynamically
the
update our
response.
variables, if we have to dynamically update
Yeah,
our variables, then we need this state.
yeah, yeah. If you
Attributes.
update it like this, if you update it like this, for example, just do this. Yeah. If you do this, sometimes it will get updated, sometimes it won't, because you have to always use state in variable, state in React, because there are something called re-renders in React. So when you update any state, it will re-render the application and it will update this state as well. So if you use normal variables, it won't update it.
Okay. Um,
Yeah. So that's why we have to use this use state to update it. Then re-render will happen, then it will update properly and it will sync it properly. If you use it
okay.
normally like this, it will get crash after some time. We should not use
Okay.
it normally like this. Yeah.
Okay. So here we are saying data as a string type of. That's why you have set it up as a null.
Yeah.
What if I wanted to use any integer or other type of variable? So in the use state, how can you define that also? You can mention
Yeah.
here.
Basically, we are using JavaScript, right? It's a dynamic language, so you don't have to worry about whether it's string or something like that. You can just set it
Okay.
instead of string. You can just, even if it's a number, it will just set it up, right? If you are using
Okay.
TypeScript, you will have types and everything. So then you can add something like it's a string or it's a number or something like that using this tags here. But since
Okay.
we are using JavaScript, we don't have to worry about all that.
Okay.
We can
So
take care
instead
of
of
the
setting up
code
null,
itself.
if I want any hard coded value like hello world here itself, so in the initial time it will set that value, and after that it will get updated, right?
Yeah, it will get updated. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. For example, I will show you afterwards as well when we are
No
developing
worries,
it.
no worries.
Yeah.
Just throwing up my questions.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's loaded now. API.
Mhm.
So if you see in API, we have app, as user, as app, fetch, invoke, remote, request with bucket, request conference, request Jira. There are more like these things. So basically, we let's ignore all this for now. Let's focus on app, and as user. So basically, if you use as app here, it will we have request with bucket, request Jira. So you can request Jira REST APIs from using this. So what it means is ASAP means basically when you make a request using this API.ASAP, it will make it as an app instead of a user. It will make it as an app. If you use as user, it will make whoever doing the calls. For example, if you click something, it's fetching some project details. So basically, if you use as app, it will fetch as an app. But if you use as user here, when you click on something like that, it will fetch it as project. If you don't have permissions for that, you won't get that project details because you are using as user. But if you use as app, even if you don't have permission, you'll still get the project details. That's a major difference between as app and as user.
So whenever the API calls are happening, we can say it is managing the Jira permission. It is considering Jira permission.
Jira
If you remove
permissions.
app user also from the permission, obviously it will not get that detail, right, Jivan? If app
If
user
the
is not part of, if app user is also not part of permissions, right?
yeah,
In
it
that
will
case
they can
also we
still
can
get the
get.
details. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
okay,
They can still get the information if they use as app.
okay,
But if they
okay,
use as user, then they can't get any information from there.
okay. Based on
So there
user
is one
permission,
more
it will
thing.
get all the
Yeah,
details.
yeah. Based on user permission, we will get the information. There is one more thing called route here. So basically, we have to use this route to wrap our REST API. So for example, we have to use this route and wrap it. And we have to give our REST API. For example, I want to access some project, rest.api slash 3 slash project, and I'll give some project ID or key, HEL, hello world. Then from this, you can get the information. Then from here, from the response, you'll get all the information you need, all the project details. In the response, you'll get all the project details. So like this, in this way, you can call our REST APIs, all the REST APIs. Yeah, you can use instead of, if you want to use REST APIs in Confluence, you can use REST request Confluence, request with bucket, something like that. Yeah. Okay. So we'll remove this for now. Okay, let's go through the environments once. So if you want to first we go through deployment as well. If you want to install any app in our, for example, if you're developing, right? So you have to develop our app and all. So you have to install it in our local site. So if you do that, you have to choose development environment. There are basically three environments: development, production, and staging. Development is used for your own like local testing and local developing. Staging is used for testing, like normally just for testing before doing any production release. And production is basically production. You can just when you are releasing into others or something like that. And so first we'll go for the development environment. So if you want to, first we have to deploy our app, then only you can install it. So for deployment, we have something called force deploy command. So force deploy. If you just use force deploy, it will take a development environment as default. But if you want something like staging environment as default, you have to use -e staging, like this. If you want to use production, you have to use production, -e production. But if you don't give anything, it will just take development as default. So I'm deploying it now. It will run the forge lint. See if any errors are there in our code, like in manifest.yml, anything is missing or anything like that. If you use TypeScript, it will check TypeScript types as well. If you are misusing any types or something. So it's packaging apps, uploading app, validating manifest, deploying to environment. If you see deploying your app to development environment. So default, we have development environment. So it's deployed. Now we have to install this app. It's just deployed now. We have to install this. So basically same thing for install as well. Forge install. Here also same. By default, it will take development. If you want to use staging, you have to use -e command and staging or production. If you don't give anything, it will take development. So forge install. And it will ask you where to install this product. So where to install this app. Since we are using Jira, right? So we have to choose Jira only. If you use Confluence or anything, it won't give anything. So since we created Jira module, so we have to use Jira here. Jira. And you have to enter the site URL where you're an admin. If you use any random, it won't work. You have to be an admin of that, site admin, not just a normal admin, site admin. So I will use my account. Asian.net, enter. You have to plus Y and enter. Yeah. So now it's installed. If you see development environment, by default, it will be in development. So let me go into my open here. Let me go into manage your apps. If you see here, get set code UIKit development version 2. Vendor John Kanate, same like this. And our global page, right? We created a global page. So it's available in apps. If you see get set code. And if you see there is one tag as well, dev tag, because we are using development server, right? Development environment, right? So it will come with a dev tag to differentiate between staging and production. And for staging, it will say STG. For production, it won't say anything. But for development and staging, it will give different tags. So we'll open this, open a new tab. Loading and hello world. So first it came loading because data will be null. So it came loading. When we got the text, when we got the information from the backend, it updated to hello world because we are sending hello world here. Yeah. Like this. Yeah. For example, if you want to see this information, for example, we console logged it here, right? If you want to see this information, you have to go to developer console. So we'll go to developer console. So I'll give you the link as well afterwards. If you see developer.atlassian.com console my apps, this is the link for that. So if you see get set UI code, UI kit, you have to open that. And there are many things here you can use, and you can see logs here. We'll go through this afterwards. We'll just go for the logs today. So logs. So we didn't install in production, right? We installed in development. So you have to choose development here. Production staging, we have to use development. See payload. Payload is logged here. See, this is the request object. Payload, context. Inside the context, we have extension. We don't have, I think we have extension here. Extension. If you are in a project page or issue page, you will get project ID, issue key, everything here itself in the extension. We have site URL, we have module key, we have local ID, cloud ID, everything is available here itself. License, if you are, for example, you can check license as well in production. Everything you can check it here. See payload as well. Example, my invoke variable. Yes. One more thing, if you want to, this is a backend, right? You can use this context in the backend. If you want to use this context in the front end, you can use this one more thing as well. There is something called view in bridge. In Forge Bridge, there is something called view. So in this view, you can use, for example, view dot context, get context here. So from this, you can use, this is a async API. So we'll get response here and response dot. See, we have account ID, cloud, extension, everything. Inside the extension, you'll get project details if you're in a project. And if you're not in a project, you'll want to get that. And you'll get module key, in which module you are. Currently, I'm in global page, right? So global page module key is this one. So you'll get this key as well. And you'll get all those things here, site URL. You can get theme as well. Recently, our Atlassian gave dark theme, light themes, right? You can get the theme as well here. So everything you can get it here, license and all these things. Account ID. Account ID is basically whoever the person currently is. You can get the account ID of that person as well. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it for today, right, Sarika?
Yeah, sure, Jeevan. I think it looks promising and it's really understandable for me. But I request everyone, if you have any query or any doubts, we are here live and we can answer it.
I'm stopping my screen share.
Yeah, fine. We'll wait for a few minutes. I think, Jeevan, this is your first Atlassian community event, right?
Yeah. First time. I was nervous. Yeah.
So I think now you are feeling much better, right? And you are excited for
Yeah.
joining us in future again, right?
next call. Yeah. Next time we'll go
Yeah.
through that custom UI as well. So yeah.
Yeah. So, team, we are going to cover everyone. We are going to cover the more Atlas Forge app development category. So, this is our first. I think that we have talked about custom UI. I think the UI kit. Next, we have plan for custom UI in. I think we are planning it in January end. So, if
Yeah.
you have any query here, post us here, or otherwise you can reach out to us on LinkedIn as well. Uh, you can ping me or Jeevan on LinkedIn, or you can paste it here in the chat as well if you have any doubts. I think I think we don't have such questions right now, Jeevan. I think they will need some time
Yeah. Yeah.
to do
Yeah.
some self exploration of the app development. I think then we can hear more back,
Yes.
right? So I think we are good, everyone. So let's try to wrap up. Thank you everyone for joining us. We'll meet soon in mid of the January again, and we'll talk about custom UI development with Forge. Goodbye, everyone.
Thanks everyone. Goodbye.